Okay, so I got the roof and I made a texture for this side wall right here. Got all that done, and I ended up just taking, for the texture right here, I ended up just taking these textures and using doing the same thing like I was doing before and applied them on the front here. Of course I had to, because of the way the texture is, I had to put a line right there, but other than that, that made things real easy. Um, so now there's about one we really need to make a window texture, a door texture, and this big door texture, and so that's what we're going to work on now. What I have in mind is a split hydraulic door, so I just have it kind of in my head how I'm going to make it, or at least can see it. I don't know if I'll be able to make it, but we're just going to go right into it here. I'm going to select the area. Alright. Make a new layer. I'm going to call this F1. I'm just going to go ahead and make a couple more layers while I'm at it, so I don't forget to do so later. Make one more here. Now I'm just going to fill this. I'm going to do a base color, just a dark white color. I don't know if that's a color or not, but anyhow. There it is. And I know I'm going to want a couple windows in this door. I'm thinking I'm going to put a guide right about in the center, maybe a little lower than the center, right there. And so I'm going to want a window or two. I went ahead, I guess I applied that to, applied the base color to F4, so I'm just moving it down to the bottom here. F1 is now F2, and so on. Now, I'm just going to pop in a couple windows here. Just eyeballing it. Nothing too fancy. These are going to have, since there's not a whole lot of light inside this hangar, these are going to be more or less just dark gray color for now as the base. And I'm going to duplicate that 3 times. Actually, I'm going to do that 2 more times. Okay. And I'm just going to whoops, move one right over, eyeball it once again. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, now I want a seam right here for where the 2 parts of the door, because it's gonna, because of this, the length of this door, I'm picturing this door to be in 2 parts. So I'm just gonna go to black, and I'm also just gonna go ahead and merge. Whoops, didn't want that. Maybe I do. Okay, I do. Okay, merge all that down. Okay, let's just make sure. Okay, I need to move it down one more time. Yeah, I used to paste it a lot to check to see if I have all the layers merged together or selected or whatever. It can be a handy way of doing that. Alright, now I'm just going to scale this brush way down to maybe 1 or 1.5 something pixels, about like that. I'm going to do this on a new layer. Just going to click. And, you know, before I do that, I just want to make sure, just, well, that's probably why, part of the reason why I wasn't painting there was because I didn't have it selected, but yeah, I just want to make sure the whole thing's selected. Then paint it. Alright. I want this to be even darker, but let's see. I'm gonna just arbitrary scale here. Now paint it. Let's see, okay. And I'm just going to go ahead and add a border all the way around this. Like that. Alright. Let's see if I can get this thing back onto my tabs here. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and just make this a little darker. And I'm going to do that by just duplicating the layer. It made it a little darker, that's good. And I'm going to merge that down. Now I want to just add a little bit of just grime in places. Trying to think of the best way to do that. I think if I just take the first take the paintbrush, just scale it up a little bit here. Not that much, but okay. It's a little more. Alright. And I'm just gonna, let's make sure F3 is just above the base color. Alright. I'm gonna do that here. I'm gonna put a little black here. Just wherever you want it. Now I'm gonna take the smudge tool, and I think just circular motions. You can try different things. You just go like this even. Just trying to get some contrast into this door, really, is what we're trying to do. Now I'm just going to bring down the opacity of all that. About like that. So now I'm just going to do some shading on this. Go to, let's see, this is being used. Yes, it is. Okay, I need to just make a new, make a new layer. Call it F5. And I'm going to start making, just taking the blend tool. Is that what it's called? I can never remember. Okay, it is called the blend tool. I'm just going to put some shading on the corners. I probably want to be about even on the shading from side to side. Put some down from the top, and some on the bottom, and a little on the sides. There we go. Just bring down the opacity. And I'm just going to take the smudge tool. I think I need to, and just kind of smudge that just a little bit so it's not quite so straight. It can sometimes be a good idea. So we have to just run across here. Okay. I'm gonna try a little jitter in my brush. I'm just going like this now. It's pretty good. I might try it one more time. Want a little more jitter. Or a lot more in this, it looks like. That's too much. Try it right now. We're gonna have to find even less. Well, let's just try that. Yeah, a lot less. Just trying to break up that hard edge just a little bit. I don't want to too much, but that's pretty good. I think I'm going to bring down the grime a little bit. There. Now we need to make these windows in here make it look like they're not quite so so they just don't pop out of the texture or the door quite so much. And I also should probably put a nice even, just a real thin line there. I'm going to do that first. Make sure I have a hard edge selected. Alright, let's scale this probably all the way down to 1. Make sure it's black. I'm going to go ahead and do this on a new layer. My layers are all getting messed up here, but that's okay. better, but it needs. Let's see if we can't just. I think the resolution is as thin of a line as I can get. Alright, that's okay. That'd be good. And, so like, we need to figure out how to, probably one of the best ways to get that line out, that hard edge, because we need to make it a little more inside the door. We just need to first figure out where those windows are. There they are. So we're going to work from the window layer here. We call this F7. We're going to use, this might work, just the, well, I think we'll just use the rectangle brush here, or the square brush, and just eyeball this and make sort of a little darker there, okay. Just go like this. And see if that'll just push that door window back enough to be convincing. Alright. That looks like it works pretty good. I'm just seeing what happens if I just bring down the opacity a little bit. I think that'll work pretty good. I'm just going to do that for... Actually, I'm just going to duplicate that layer. How many times do I need to do that? 5 times. And just move it over. In fact, I'm just going to move this one all the way over to this window. And the last one here. Merge those all down into one layer. There we are. I'm just going to duplicate it once, see if darkening it like that would help at all. Bring down the opacity just a little bit. In fact, I'm going to duplicate this layer one more time. Merge down. Bring down the opacity. And that looks pretty good for starters. I'm just going to go into SketchUp here and reload the texture real quick after I export it. Apply the texture and just see how this door texture looks. Size pretty good. Now I just need to take the pins, position them accordingly. Zoom in way here. Okay. Let's scan over in this side. This can be pretty mind-numbing if you're doing large models, but it's got to be done, and so you just do it. But it can get pretty boring sometimes. Okay, that's actually looking pretty good. Sure that one's into corner. I need to move this one over a little bit, I think. There we go.